Well, welcome to a very blustery winter day here in Metro Detroit. It's not quite single digits, but not much above. We're going to have a quick look around on the outside of the car, and then we're going to dive inside into the warmth because it's chilly out here. So the front of the car looks really good. Where the Mazda has sort of a too smiley face, this Hyundai Elantra has almost a Cheshire cat grin on it. I'd call it a bleep-eating grin, but hey, you know. Very nice wraparound headlights on it. It's a nice detail. Also, how the fog lights, driving lights are integrated into that, into the body line. Very nice, strong body line for the front fenders there. And then you see how it flows with the creases into the back, where you have the rear tail light that wraps around into the front and the very fast back onto it. It's a sedan, but it has a very coupe-ish look. From the rear, sorry for the movement there. From the rear, it looks good. Nothing great, but it's got a very nice substantial stance to it. And then we'll wrap around back to this rear three-quarter view of it is really nice. And then we'll take a quick walk around to this side. We'll zoom back a little bit. Again, you can get that nice, it's got a very nice aggressive look to the car. It's got some great lines to it. Now, some changes underway at Hyundai as far as the styling department goes. Word is that some of the upper echelons in Korea aren't necessarily fans of how aggressive the styling has become on these cars. But I got to say, it's one of the big things that stands out about this car is just how good the styling is. All right, let's take a jump inside. Right, the first thing we're going to take a look at is in the rear here, and I want you to pay attention to this particular button here. It has heated rear seats, which I don't think we've seen in this class in any other car, and probably won't see for a while. Now, taking a look at the back seat here, pretty decent room back here. Not anything record-breaking or class-leading, I don't believe, but it's good. See if we can swing back in here, you can get a view of it. Now, the front seat is adjusted for me at about 5'11", and so I'm sitting here in the back, and you can see you got not great, but decent leg room, and then the headroom is quite good. Okay, let's take a look at the cockpit here, the the IP here. Have a choice of a lot of different displays that you can do here, and see if we can zoom in just a little bit more so you can get a better view. So we have an average miles per gallon, you have average mile an hour, time and distance, or how long you've been driving. This has an eco mode, where right now we have it off. We've been driving with both on and off and haven't seen a big difference in mileage, but difference in throttle control, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then your 2 trip meters and how much your typical range. So let's move over to the center stack here. This being a limited edition, has got the touchscreen nav system here with iPod integration. It does have, oops, sorry about that. It does have voice in here, along with phone that you can connect via your Bluetooth. And of course your standard buttons on your steering wheel. And I can say the stereo system in here is pretty good. It's lacking a little bit of bass, and the mid-range is a little thin, but overall it's a pretty good stereo system. I don't have too many complaints about it. Multiple AM/FM stations. This has XM on it as well. And just in case you were wondering, we were kidding about how cold it is, it's at 18 degrees, in case you can't quite read that. Materials in the inside are pretty good. I mean, they've got softer, we have softer touch materials in here. The plastic bits here are good. The fit and finish is nice. No real complaints about it. Certainly some bins in here for storage, for your drinks and such. Heating controls. 2-stage seat heater here, which is, it does a pretty good job. The one thing I can say about the heater, and of course it's been really cold here, so it may be due to temperature around here, but it takes a little bit for the seat to heat up, but once it does a good job. Also, the heat for the cabin takes a little bit to get up to where it's like you're really feeling it. But when it does, then you really need to dial it down, because it gets very warm. The one really nice thing, as we pan around the interior here, get a view of what we have here, is that the seat heaters in the front seats aren't just the bottoms of the seats. They also go up into the lower back area as well, which is really, really nice, and again, not something that you see a lot of, even in some higher end cars. So overall, we want to talk about one other thing before we go here, and that's the mileage. Now, the mileage on this car, the Limited, or actually all of the Elantras, is rated at 29 city, 40 on the highway, and it doesn't matter whether you get an automatic or a manual. Our experience has been a little bit different. Now it's winter, so you're not going to get as good a mileage anyways, and then winter grade gas doesn't help much either. We did an 80-mile fuel economy loop on the highway. On the 40-mile range out, we set the cruise control at 75, and we got 31.7 miles per gallon. On the way back, we didn't use the cruise control, tried to drive right at 75 miles an hour again. Similar traffic, and it's the same, within half an hour there and back. So on that round, we got 36.5, which was much better, much closer to the official 40 mile per gallon figure. So will it get to 40 on the highway? Well, maybe if you drive with a little bit lighter foot. Now, we did say that with the Eco mode, that it did have a different feel on the throttle. It definitely takes a much stronger pedal on the gas pedal to get the car going. It definitely feels like it's being held back a little bit, again, probably to encourage fuel economy. You turn it off and it feels like I hate to say a normal car, but that's really what it felt like. It's got good pickup. It's a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder motor, and it's not overwhelming with power, but it has plenty of power. The noise, vibration, harshness is good. It's not seamless, it's not super smooth, but it's very acceptable and well above class norms. Driving it, it does a good job. It's not a performance car. This is a nice car if you do a lot of driving in. Very comfortable for driving longer distances. But again, it's not a performance car. It's something for, I would say, the average driver who's got a commute. It's going to be a good car to drive. It handles well. Brakes are pretty aggressive on this thing. It's one thing takes a couple times to get used to. You just barely need to touch the brakes and they start to grab. Took us about a day to get used to that. This car stickered at $22,000. The Limited model is just over 20 grand, and then with the sat-nav system and the big touch screen, that is about a $2,000 option. So at $22,000, this car will be competing with the new Ford Focus, with the Chevy Cruze, and it definitely has an advantage on price. Now, we haven't been in the Cruze yet. That should be coming in the next month or so. But with our short drive in the Focus, here's what I'll say. The Ford has a little bit better interior. The fit and finish and everything is a little nicer. It feels a little more solid when you close the doors. That said, there's a $4,000 to $5,000 price difference between the Hyundai and the Ford, and for a lot of people, that's going to be the reason why they choose the Hyundai. Hyundai is a great car, good gas mileage, drives nice. We like it, but if we had to choose between the Focus and the Elantra, even though it's more money, I think we might take the Focus. But if you choose the Hyundai, you're not going to go wrong. This is a very, very well done car for Hyundai, and they're going to sell pretty much every one they can make.